Recently here on the channel I made a video about my favourite players that I used in all of FM24 and I asked you guys to let me know your favourites in the comments, to which we made a full video because you guys gave us so many great suggestions. But since then we've had even more, so we're going to make a part 2. We have got some real gems in this list suggested by you guys. They're not necessarily Erling Haaland and Mbappe's, but they're the players that you've had great success with. Some of them are costing around 10 million, some 1 million and some 100k. So there really is something for every single save. There's some top players on this list, so with that being said, let's kick off with player number 1. And it's a player that has appeared before on the channel but a long time ago, so I'm glad to see that he is still getting the respect that he deserves. This is Azubu, who is a Ghanaian striker playing for Rio Ave out in Portugal, where he's been for a few years, got loaned out to the Super League in China and did pretty well. But when you look at him, this is an unbelievable player for £2 million or so. Great physical attributes mean he'll be amazing in the in-match engine, some good finishing as well. Now obviously for the price point and for who he is, he's not going to start for Man City or Arsenal or Chelsea or whoever it might be, but if you're a high-level championship team looking for promotion, maybe even low-level Premier League trying to avoid relegation, he could be a top player for you. So they're the kind of players that we'll be looking at in today's video, and we've got another 13 or so to get through. But before we do, if you do go on to enjoy this video or get any use out of it, feel free to smash that like button because it really does help us, and keep the comments coming about your favourite players, and who knows, maybe we'll get a part 3, maybe another follow-up. Obviously we'll need some good suggestions to do that, so get your best picks in the comments down below, and if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so as we close in on 200k subs. But with that being said, let's see player number 2. And I thought it would be best to get the most well-known player in this list out the way first. It's Dinamo Zagreb's Croatian international 20-year-old Martin Baturina, who was suggested not just once, not twice, but 3 times in the comments of the last couple of videos, and there's a reason why. He is one of the best signings you can make in this year's FM, probably the most well-known, as I say, that we're going to see in this list. A central midfielder with great goal scoring and creative ability that can be signed for about 8 million quid. Now personally, I've signed him so many times in the rebuilds I do on my channel, which by the way, if you want to check them out, you can find them linked in the description, and I've seen him go on to be a £100 million plus player. You'll have to be quick though, because there's plenty of interest in him usually within the first year or so of your save. If you can sign him, bring him in and you'll reap the rewards. It's always great when we get a suggestion that isn't a striker or a winger, the kind of players that really catch the eye, but instead you get a suggestion of a goalkeeper. It just shows goalkeepers out there can still make an impact. This is Moqua, who is suggested by you guys. He's a 28-year-old international playing for Vissel Kobe out in Japan. Now as a goalkeeper, for a couple million quid, he is actually very good. The only thing that I find strange about him is he has one first touch, which seems really extreme. He must have done something in real life to earn that. I'd love to know what it is, but everything else goalkeeping wise he is really good at. Fairly determined, so a decent personality as well. Obviously he's never going to start in goal for a Man City or a Liverpool, but I think this guy could play low-level Premier League, high-level Championship pretty comfortably. Just don't ask him to do too much with the ball at his feet with only that one first touch. This next player is a real bargain and a real overpowered player in Football Manager. We covered him in a video a long time ago, so much like the first player we looked at, I'm very happy to see he is still being suggested by you guys, and I thought it's definitely worth highlighting him again. It's Makuta, who is a 25-year-old Congolese international playing for BVT, which I believe is Boa Vista out in Portugal. Now he is an unbelievable player for what you're getting, because yes, the technicals are really good and the mentals are good too, but physically this guy is an absolute beast. Good in pretty much every single area. He's going to run that midfield, and I think this guy could easily play mid-table in the Premier League. Now for this whole video, do ignore the star ratings. I'm managing Chelsea here, so these guys are being compared to Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, etc. And whilst these guys are good, they're obviously not that level of good, else they would end up costing you way more than 3 or 4 million that you'd end up spending on Makuta. But either way, this guy is an animal in the midfield, some great attributes all around, and would be a great pickup for any team. But this is why I love making these kind of videos, because we get bargains I have never heard of in my life, and this is one of them. Lamine Sonko, suggested by one of you in the comments. This is the cheapest player in this list, and the reason is he is playing for Dakar Sacré-Cœur, who are a team out in Senegal, I believe that is. Yes, it is. I don't know how this guy found him. I don't know even why he had the Senegalese divisions loaded, but if you happen to, you can find this player, 19 years of age, for £50,000 or so. And as far as suggestions go, it's a pretty good one. I mean, he's got some great attributes for the price that you're paying. He's obviously not going to be a world-class player ever, but he is definitely a bargain pickup. If you're in the lower levels of English football, let's say as an example, maybe the 3rd tier or the 4th tier, this guy could be really good. And at 19, who knows how far he could go. Maybe he could actually go on to be a championship level striker, for example, and he's only costing you £50,000. Like I say, this really is why I love doing these kind of videos and using your suggestions, because I never would have came across this guy, but there we go. If anyone wants to sign him, he is a bargain. If you're looking for a slightly more complete striker and have a slightly bigger budget also, maybe a more accessible striker as well, I should point out, then Keiki Top might be a great player for you. He's a breakthrough prospect out at Schalke in the second tier of German football, valued at around £1 million. A 19-year-old forward is a very, very good player. 6'4" and physically very dominant. The mentals are strong too, as are the technicals. They're not amazing, mind you, and I don't think he'll ever grow to have, 15s and 16s in these areas, but with the physical profile he's got, with the attribute base he's starting from, by the time he's 22 or 23, if you gave him first team football between now and then, you'd be looking at a Premier League level striker 100%. But right now, I think for £1 million, if you're a championship level club, for example, and you bring him in, you will not regret it. He'll score a ton of goals. I have had some success with him myself, so it's great to see him suggested by you guys in the comments. A bargain out in Germany, and one that most of you should be able to get your hands on. Now, this next suggestion is an interesting one, because I look at him and I don't instantly think this guy will be really good, but one of the comments said that he was for somebody, so I wanted to point him out, and it's always great to find players that I'm not really aware of. This is 16-year-old Finngel, who plays for Nuremberg in the second tier of Germany, much like Keiki Top. He's a centre-back who can play defensive midfield, who has some pretty well-rounded attributes, and at 16 could probably go pretty far. I mean, he's got nice heading, first touch and dribbling as well, and if he does develop this and he gets some game time by the time he's 18, 19, you'd be looking at a very good player. Now, he's only going to cost you £2 million. Again, I don't necessarily think he will be world class, but with the right growth, you could definitely see him become a Premier League level centre-back, and I've never really heard of this guy in my life. So with these suggestions that we're looking at, it's not purely based on, oh yeah, I know this guy's amazing, but sometimes it's just great to hear the players that you've had success with. Someone else might now see this, buy him in their save, and maybe find their new club legend. But either way, Finngel clearly has the potential here to go pretty far. There was one other goalkeeper mentioned, a player that's been around in FM for a few years, and he is a very good goalie for the price. Elia Caprile of Napoli on loan at Empoli. He's going to cost you around £7 million, a 21-year-old Italian goalkeeper who, with the right development, can easily become Italy's #1 in a few years' time, once Donnarumma moves on, of course. He's got great goalkeeping attributes, and he's good in a lot of the areas mentally and physically too. Passing needs a bit of work, as does his first touch, but at age 21, he's got plenty of years to get better, and it does take longer usually for goalkeepers to really find their form. He's injured at the start of your save, so scout him, see how his loan goes at Empoli, and he might end up being worth a pickup. Someone said he was a brilliant goalkeeper for them. I haven't actually used him this year, but I know in previous seasons of FM, he was really good, so he's definitely one to keep an eye on, and maybe sign if you need a goalie. But a player you'll have to act really quick to sign if you want him is Marcel Ratnik, the Slovenian 19-year-old playing for Olympia out in Slovenia's first division. He is wanted in this save by PSG, Milan, Inter, and Juventus straight away, which shows you that there's a lot of interest in this kid, and obviously there's going to be. £2 million with these kind of attributes at age 19 is a bargain. I don't think he'll ever be good enough for those kind of sides, but if they were to develop him, loan him out, they'll easily make a profit. If you're a low-level Premier League team or high-level Championship team looking for promotion, then Ratnik could be a great player that could grow really far with the club. He will need that game time to do it, but if you are able to sign him, you'll hopefully be able to see him become a regular centre-back for your side and fulfill that potential. So scout him, keep an eye on him, and maybe you could turn him into a world beater. This next player confused me a little bit. It's Nigerian 21-year-old Olusegun. Now, he plays for Russian side Krasnodar, and when he was suggested, I looked at him and thought, why would anyone suggest this guy? He's obviously not that great. I mean, technically, not amazing. Mentally, not amazing either. He's going to cost you a couple million, and he's already a regular starter for one of Russia's major teams. And then I realised he's got 20 pace and 17 agility, which in FM this year probably will lead to some great performances. So if you're after a cheap player that could really tear it up in, say, the Championship, then he could be a great signing. I believe the comment that suggested him did say that he won't really go too far in his career, but in terms of the output that you'll get from him, you will get results on the wing. So he definitely is one that's worth looking at. I personally wouldn't go for him because he's lacking in a lot of areas, but this year in FM, pace does tend to be king, so he's got 20 of it, that's the maximum, and therefore he is going to be a good player, I'm sure. The next recommendation was a left back, a Welshman, 20-year-old from Liverpool by the name of Owen Beck, who starts your game on loan at Dundee. He's available for around 2 million, he's got a few years left on that contract at Liverpool, but you might be able to loan him in season 2, or maybe get him for a bargain price, because I don't think Liverpool will use him, but for £2 million or so, he's clearly got a lot of talent. He will be a Welsh international at some point in your save if he gets given the opportunity, so he's worth scouting. I wouldn't necessarily say he is one of the best left backs you could sign, but definitely a good suggestion for that price point, or maybe a loanee signing in season 2. Our most expensive player in this list suggested by you guys though was John Lukumi, who is from Bologna in Italy. He's a Colombian international, 25 years of age, valued at around 10 million quid, but he has some brilliant attributes, particularly for a modern day centre back, with 14 passing, vision and technique. Good physically as well, 6'2", wanted by Tottenham here in this save. Lots of great attributes to go around and fairly versatile as well. A left-footed ball-playing defender is sometimes pretty hard to come across, so Bologna clearly have themselves a gem, but it will take a pretty penny to sign him. He's an important player at the Italian club, so bear that in mind. If you can bring him in, you will have a great player for your team. When we got a comment suggesting there was a South Korean 25-year-old playing in Denmark that's good enough for the Premier League already, I was pretty surprised, but when I actually searched him up, I actually thought, you know what, there's an argument to be made there. This is Cho Gui-sung, who is a South Korean international, 24 appearances for the national team and 5 goals, who's playing in Denmark, recently signed to FC Midtjylland. So you won't be able to get him straight away, but if you wait for the first transfer window to pass, get a scout on him, see how he develops, and there really is a Premier League level striker here. Physically, he is good, he's got the finishing, he's got the heading ability, and he can pass fairly well as well, so he will link up with teammates, he can dribble, the first touch is good too, and for about 5 or 6 million, I really don't think you could go wrong. He's obviously not in his prime yet either, so this is a really good signing, a real good suggestion I had no clue about, that is very nicely rounded and could make a great forward. But now we move on to our last player, so make sure if you have enjoyed the video to smash the like button for us. But this last one is a centre-back who, to be honest, could be put up front with the attributes that he has. This is FC Lorient's 20-year-old Isaac Toure, who I have covered in a video before, I think in our Meta Defenders video, because he is as meta as it comes this year. If you're good in the air, or you're really quick in FM, it will help you. Now, he's got a little bit of pace to him, but in terms of aerial ability, he has got 20 jumping reach, 17 strength, and 14 heading, being 6'8" as well. The left-footed defender has so much going for him. He'll score 15 goals a season purely from set pieces, and then you actually think about the fact that he's pretty good on the ball. The defensive attributes aren't too bad either. He's not just a one-trick pony, and for 7 or 8 million, this could be a great centre-back for anybody that signs him. But there we go, we've looked at more of your suggestions from the comments. If you've got any more players that you want us to take a look at, drop them down below and we might make a follow-up to this follow-up that we've already done. But thank you for watching, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.